Good evening and welcome to 365 Days of Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 87, and I have a wonderful story today. This is a story from China, and this occurred around 250 BC, quite a long time ago. True story. And it's about a young prince that was about to become the emperor of China. However, he could not become emperor until he was married. He needed to have a wife. And so far in his life, he had found no one that he felt he could truly trust. And he knew that as the emperor, he needed to have a wife that he could trust absolutely. Well, he sought the counsel of a very wise man within the court, someone who his father had sought for advice all of his life. And on the counsel of the wise man, the prince summoned all of the eligible and desirous women of the court. Anyone who would have been interested in becoming the empress was invited to come and see if they might be chosen as the prince's wife. Well, on the appointed day, many women came. But there was one woman who stood out differently amongst them all. It happened to be the daughter of one of the servants in the court. And when she heard about this event that was about to take place, she had come home and she had shared with her daughter that the prince was summoning all the eligible women, and from them he would choose his wife. Now, this woman's daughter had always harbored a love for the prince, a true love. And she told her mom that she was going to go to the event. And her mom was shocked. What are you talking about? How can you go to this event? The wealthiest, the wisest, the most beautiful princesses will be there. You have nothing to wear. You have nothing to show for yourself. How could you possibly go? This will be an embarrassment. I know that you love the prince, but don't turn that love into madness. Well, the daughter was not flustered at all, and she said, "This is not madness. You know I've always loved the prince, and though I know I will not be chosen, I will go, because at least for a little while, I will be able to be near to him, and that is reward enough for me." And so on the appointed day, she made her way to the court. And there she stood with all of the other maidens. Now, come on, you've got to understand that the women that showed up there, they were dressed beautifully. They had their hair done in the most exquisite manner. Of course, according to the times. They had jewelry, bangles, rings, necklaces, precious stones and pearls. They were indeed very many, very beautiful women there, hoping that in some way they would secure the love and admiration of the prince and become, when he became emperor, Empress of China. Well, the prince came out, and he brought with him a proclamation and a bag. Now, he went through all the ranks of women that were there, and to each woman he gave them a seed. And after he had given all of them a seed, he told them that whoever is able to grow the most beautiful flower will win him as their husband. All of the women were dismissed. Now the daughter of the servant went home, and she did not consider herself at all a gardener. She felt like she had no knowledge at all of how to grow plants. And so because of that, she was very, very careful when she was preparing the soil into which she was going to plant the seed. She thought, if I put so much love into this soil, so much care, then certainly it's going to grow the most incredible flower. No matter what she did, it seemed the seed would not sprout and grow. She consulted farmers and friends of her mother who seemed to have green thumbs. Nothing she seemed to do would get that seed to germinate. Nothing ever sprouted up. It was very sad to the young woman. She couldn't grow a thing. What was she going to do? Now, the time frame that the prince had given each one of the women was a 6-month time frame. And he said that in 6 months he would gather everyone together. And again, the person who was able to grow the most beautiful flower, he would choose as his wife. Well, the 6 months passed. And the daughter of the servant woman still had no flower to show for all that time. But on that given day, in the best clothing that she had, fixing her hair simply but beautifully, wearing no pearl necklaces or bracelets, just showing up as herself, she came. Again, with that pot that had no plant growing in it at all. And when she entered the hall where all of the young women were, she thought, as she had sort of known as she came there, that she would not be chosen. Because how could she? How could she be? She hadn't grown anything with the seed. When she walked into the hall, all she could see is that every one of the women that was there had some beautiful flower. They were all different colors and different sizes, and some were very aromatic, and some were not. But she already had resigned to her fate that she wouldn't win, but at least she was able to be close again to the prince. Well, when the prince came out, he very carefully inspected each one of the flowers. They were all held in the hands of those princesses, those women, those beautiful women, each one holding a pot with a beautiful flower in it. And after he had looked at everyone, complimented each woman for having grown such a beautiful flower, she said, or sorry, he said, my choice. My choice is this woman that has grown no flower at all. She will be my wife. She will be the Empress of China. Well, that young lady, of course, was a little bit surprised because she had grown nothing at all. All the other women who'd come in with all these beautiful flowers, they were horror-stricken. How could this be? They had spent all this time growing those beautiful flowers, and not a one of them had been chosen. Well, there was a bit of fussing that went on straight away. The prince quieted everyone down and said, I will give you an answer as to my reasoning, why I chose this beautiful young woman to be my wife. He was now standing next to her, smiling. He'd taken her hand in his. And after a gentle squeeze, he walked away from her and stood before all of them and said, you see, she has grown the flower of honesty. All of the seeds which I gave you were sterile. You can imagine what it must have been like for those women to have gone home, still holding their flower pots. I was told that many of them discarded their pots on their way home, but hopefully they also discarded their willingness to be dishonest. True story. Okay, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining.